All right. So we are live as we are going to be promoting, as I've already done just a couple of days ago here on the Rutgers football channel, our very first Rutgers post-game show. It's going to be on Sunday, and I'm no longer by myself. Thank goodness. Richie's joining me. So, Richie, this is going to be a lot of fun.
Awesome. It's kind of repeating a little bit. I don't know if it's on my end.
You got a little bit of echo?
Yeah, a little bit of an
Let me go
echo.
ahead and, you know what? Let me see if this helps at all. I'm going to take you off the screenshot.
Okay.
Let me know if any of that helps.
Yeah.
Still feeling an echo?
Yeah, it's echoing my own actually too.
Tell you what, I know we're doing this live, but that's okay. This is what this is for. So this is everybody can see the behind the scenes of what we do to make this work. So I tell you what, I was recording that, so I'm gonna check and see what they're listening to because I don't hear an echo. So let me see on the recording on my end. Let me see how it sounds. All right, you got a little bit of echo.
Yeah, a little bit of an echo.
Let me go ahead and it's going to be on Sunday. And
awesome.
Nope, I'm not getting anything, and neither is the recording. It must be on your end, maybe.
Let me see what I can do real quick.
And I'm going to go ahead and record it again. Anyway, while Richie is trying to make sure that his sound, and that's why we're doing this. This is the only way we can do this correctly is to make sure that we are live, and we're going to touch up on the game. Not a whole lot. I mean, Richie, of course, and Mike did a really good job of previewing the game. That's already, of course, listed on the channel at Rutgers Football, so you can check that out. And what we can definitely say, as I mentioned the other day, was that we're going to be on following the game, obviously, since it's a post-game report. But one of the changes that we talked about behind the scenes and that we wanted to mention today is that we are not going to come on the show right after the game ends, which is what I mentioned that we would do. So seconds after the game ends, boom, we're on. We changed our minds, right, Richie? Or is Richie, Richie, you're gone? Richie just disappeared. So I guess Richie maybe wants to go ahead and no, you're still there, right, Rich? Nope, Richie's gone. So maybe he's restarting his video link. Anyway, so that was the plan originally, that we were going to go ahead and we were going to come on right after. But I think we've had a bunch of fans and prospective viewers that said that they would prefer that we come on after Coach Giano's press conference. So that's what we're going to do. Makes things maybe even better for the production of the post-game show because we're going to be able to check out if there's anything that Coach Giano says and then go from there. So we will take some sound bites. I mean, maybe the sound bites are boring and we won't even check them out at all, or at least we won't even post any of the sound bites on the show. But if he says something that's real interesting or something that we want to comment from, react from, then I will make sure we set that up. And Richie and I will have an opportunity. Maybe it'll be the first time Richie will hear it. I have no idea. But this will give us an opportunity to also find out what Coach thinks after every game. And and of course, since we're thinking about a team that might have maybe a best of 500 record, that means he's going to be in a bad mood half the time. So we'll see what happens when he is doing that. All right, let's see. Oh, that's just some other stuff. Okay. Anyway, Richie's back, or at least he's trying. Has anything changed?
It's not echoing anymore.
It's not echoing anymore.
But I could hear myself. I could hear you, and it was just, I don't even know, a combination of just.
Okay. Well, keep in mind too, and the bookmark didn't work, so not sure why. Did you use the bookmark?
Yeah, I used the bookmark. So.
All right, well, we'll have to figure that out because I'm going to have to put you back in, but that's okay. So, all right, I did talking for a few minutes. So go ahead, Richie. I told them about our change. We're gonna wait for Coach to talk after every game.
Yeah, I mean, we obviously talked about it, but on our podcast, we asked people, and we asked on our forums, and we're trying to figure out what was the best case scenario for a post game show, whether that be immediately after the game or wait till Schiano's presser. Now, I kind of thought a lot of people were going to say Schiano's presser just because it probably takes about 30 minutes till he actually talks, maybe a little less.
But once it's all done, it's probably 20, 30 minutes after the game ends. So I think that's probably the best case scenario, whether people are driving home or going to want to listen on their way home via, I guess, YouTube or
True.
any of our other sources. We'll try to post it out on, I guess, other links. But for now, I think it's just YouTube. But yeah, no, I think we'll probably just go from there.
Yeah, and then so as I was saying too, if he said, look, if he says anything that is controversial, which we doubt, or if he says anything that we disagree with,
Never.
then we'll talk about it. We'll play it. We'll replay it, and we'll give you guys an opportunity in case you haven't yet heard what was being said, and so forth and so on. If it's just a general press conference and there's nothing they even talk about, then we won't replay it or replay bits and pieces for nothing, because you guys will be able to check that out, of course, on the Rutgers football channel. So
yeah, it's just dependent on the game. Obviously, it could be a great game, and you might want to talk a ton. It could be a bad game, and you might be like, "Yo, nope, nothing.
Yeah.
I'm not saying a word."
Yeah.
So it's hit or miss.
Yeah, but it is usually the coach speak we get.
Yeah, of course.
Especially if they're winning. Yeah, if they lose, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, do you ever see him? I mean, how often does he get mad when they lose?
He's been fired up before. I should say, yeah, I guess fired up's not the right term for it, but yeah, he's been pissed
Short?
off. I guess I'll just say it. He hasn't been happy after some losses. There's some games like I want to say one of the blowouts last year. I forget which one it was, and he came into the press room and he's like, questions, and we're just like, oh shit, Here we go. Ask him a question and he like stares you down for a minute, and I'm like, oh shit, like I
better,
asked
yeah, this better be good.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
Nothing.
It is what it is.
They
football
understand.
Coach. Yeah, no, it's the end of the job. You got to ask him questions. Like I don't know what else you're supposed to do.
And the good coaches use it to their advantage. It's a perfect way for them, and especially if you wind up asking the right question. It's something that they're able to turn around and motivate the team somehow without calling anyone out.
Yeah,
So.
They could say, look at the media, look what they're asking me, look what they're telling me, look what they're writing about, and it's like, well, I mean, we have a job at the end of the day, they have a job at the end of the day, and it's just kind of how it works. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
I do think they win on Sunday, if that helps.
Look,
they should.
We also want to remind everybody, and we've already seen right now, we're getting in some live chats from the viewers, so that's great. This is definitely going to be something that we're going to work with, because this is not like an old school radio show where we're going to have phone lines and people calling in. The chat area is where we're going to communicate with you guys. Mm-hmm. And by the way, too, and I've mentioned this before, and I'll mention this on every show, but it's going to be kind of quick because it's just business. But that is that we definitely appreciate any donations we can get for the channel, because you guys are going to be our sponsors. I grew up in the radio business. Matter of fact, a lot of viewers may have no idea about this, especially if they don't know about my channel or my history. But when I was a talk show host down in South Florida, I was able, and I should probably even get saved. I have it somewhere. Maybe I'll bring it for one of the shows I can show everybody. I saved the broadcasting deal I made with Rutgers back in when Coach was there the first term. And I actually put a Rutgers report on a South Florida radio station every week for that one season. And it was awesome for me. It was like, wow. I mean, that was because I knew how much he wanted to recruit in South Florida. So it's like, this is the perfect opportunity. So I reached out to them and said, hey, I got South Florida airtime. I go, why don't we have Coach come on once a week for a few minutes, talk it up, promote Rutgers. And so we put a financial deal. Anyway, the point is that that's what I did. It was sponsorship driven, but this is different now. Obviously we get advertisements from YouTube, but the fact is that doing these special shows like this, it's a lot of work, a lot of time, especially on the weekends, and we can use all the donations that we can get, and we really will appreciate that, whether it's $1 or and Mike, I've also said, hey, if you can't afford it, don't worry about it. It's we're not going to shut you guys out for it. So we really appreciate anything you can do for us. Anyway, but we'll put some of that stuff like how to use super thanks and all that stuff, super chat. If you guys have no idea what that is, we'll try to leave some information in the description area so you can figure all that out. But it's a very simple process. And again, this is stuff that we'll just let you know about during every show, before, after, or whatever. Okay. Now, I do want to say this, Richie, and that is because you had a show yesterday on the topic. What we will not do on this show, and I promise you, is unless it's 100% actually something happened that came through the wire and you've talked about it and it was on the show the day before or a few days before, and I'm talking about Dylan Harper news. So we will not have a Dylan Harper update on this show unless he commits. So that has to be aggravating to all Rutgers fans, and I'm sure it's aggravating to you, Richie. But we all kind of know he's going to get there. It's just getting to the point where, come on, let's get this done, right?
Yeah, I don't want to dive too much into hoops, but I do have to shout out the other 4 commits. I feel like we don't talk about them enough.
Yeah, that's true too.
Ace Bailey's probably number 2, number 3 technically. He might be number 2 in his class. Might be number 1 in his class.
He might be a better player when it's all said and done.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think enough people talk about him. Lathan Somerville's a stud. Bryce Dortch is a stud. Dylan Grant committed this week, and I feel like no one's talking about him. And it's not that it's disrespectful. It's just like Dylan Grant's a hell of a player.
Yeah.
And he in most classes, in previous recruiting classes, you would look at him as a commit and be like, wow, we just got a top 200 kid. This is amazing. And now it's like, yeah, we got a top 200 kid, but we want number 1. It's like, no, hold on. Like, let's look back at this. This kid's pretty damn good in his own right. So I do have to give a shout out to those 4 guys. Absolutely. I think we need to talk about them more.
Great job.
But yeah, for the most part, I don't anticipate us talking too much hoops on the Rutgers football post-game
We'll talk about
show.
it once, and that is when he commits. That's when I'll get an opportunity for myself to express my happiness, and I certainly, of course, I think that's going to be soon, based on what you said, and I hope that's right. Makes a lot of sense.
We can only hope.
We can only hope. Okay, you guys did a Big Ten preview, by the way.
Not a Big Ten preview. We kind of just did just Rutgers, honestly.
Okay.
We just did the Rutgers Northwestern.
What do you think about, because again, one more year of divisions, who knows did they make it definitive? It's definitely no division starting next year?
Well, that was the original plan. Now it sounds like it might come back due to Oregon and Washington joining, and they might just do like a West-East again. We'll wait and see what happens there. It's so up in the air. The Big Ten is the slowest of slow conferences when it comes to like future news.
Yeah.
For example, the Big Ten schedule was supposed to come out this week.
Okay.
It's Friday. It still hasn't come out. So it's like they keep telling people every week. They told us last week. They told us this week, and now they're telling us next week. They're like, "Oh, we'll get it done next week. We promise." I'm like, dude, this is like 3 weeks in a row. What are we doing? Like, so they're very slow with stuff like that. So I would anticipate we're probably not going to find out about next year's schedule. I think from what I was told, the next year, like the protected opponents or whatever it was, where Rutgers was supposed to play UCLA and Maryland, that whole thing sounds like it's scrapped. Like they're just done with it. They're just like, hey, we're just going to redo everything again. I do think Maryland and Rutgers will still be the protected rivalry.
Oh, jeez.
At the end of the day, but which I think that's pretty good for Rutgers because it's a winnable game most seasons.
That's true.
Now, going to what you were saying before with the Big Ten preview, I don't think it's winnable this season because I think Maryland's going to sneak up on some people.
Yeah.
I think they might even finish 4th in the Big Ten East, and I
agree.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Like,
because it's 2 divisions in 1 division.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So it's all things considered. Yeah. It's pretty good. They're definitely better than Michigan State.
I agree.
But yeah, in terms of scheduling, there's really no definitive answer for next year. So
okay.
And if they do, God forbid, if they do keep the schedule, it was basically Rutgers' original Big Ten East schedule, but they just replaced UCLA with Indiana. So it's like,
well,
it's like, hey, here you go. You can still get Ohio State, Michigan State, Penn State every year. Like, have fun. Like,
yeah.
Great. This is fun.
Let's not do that, please. That has to be fixed. That just can't keep going on because how do you survive like that? That's just, yeah, come on. Look, I know we're going to be better. I trust Giano in the process, but still, it's asking an awful lot. And look, if we could start beating Penn State, and I say beating because at some point we will win a game, but you have to get to that point when you maybe go 2-2 in 4 years, or 3 out of 8, something like. Once you do that, then I think that we might be able to start establishing a rivalry with Penn State, because that would be the best rivalry right there if we can develop one. But we have to win football games first.
Yeah. I obviously covered Penn State. I think it's pretty well known. I don't know if that's coming anytime soon. They're national title contender this
Yeah,
year.
I mean, I understand. They look at us and they're like, who? Yeah.
Yeah, no,
I get it.
And their rival, that it's the way they look at Ohio State, I would say, is the way that Rutgers looks at Penn State. It's like they want to be rivals, but they're not, and they want to be rivals, but they're not, and it's just a giant like trickle down effect. And but yeah, no, the Big Ten is going to be interesting this year. I think you saw it last night. Perfect preview for Big Ten football, where it's 10-10 in the fourth quarter with like a minute left, and it's like, oh god, like here we go again, all over again.
Yeah, well, that's good for Rutgers.
Yeah, those
are
the
true. Types of teams that you don't want to see any explosive offense because we know we're not going to have that. So
yeah,
that's good news.
I think people got to temper expectations a little bit on the offense. I know it's a new offensive coordinator, but it's year one with Kirk. It's a new quarterback with Gavin Wimsatt, kind of. Wimsatt. I keep saying it wrong. It's Wimsatt. It's not Wimsatt.
So it's Wimsatt.
Wimsatt.
I think everybody says it. So it's Wims. So it's basically you're not like really emphasizing the two T's. It's Wimsatt.
Pretty much.
Okay.
So I've been told a couple of times I've been saying it wrong nonstop. Okay. So I have to fix that in my vocabulary. Can't even say vocabulary.
Well, hopefully you'll be an expert at it, because that means that we're saying his name a lot this year, and the more you say his name, the better, I think. So
I would hope so. I would hope that's the case. But yeah, I going back to what I was saying, I think people just have to temper expectations. It's not going to go from, I think it was 17, 18 points per game last year. I don't think it's going to jump to like 30 and it's going to be a totally different offense. I think it's still going to be a slow paced ground and pound run game type offense. You saw Kirk last year with Minnesota.
That's right.
Mind you, he had Muhammad Ibrahim, but he ran the ball nearly 400 times with Muhammad Ibrahim alone, and then combine the other backs, and it's like, oh my, this guy ran like 60-70% of the time. So I think it's going to be a little similar to that. They're going to play control. They're going to control the ball, try to limit mistakes, and just kind of control the tempo of the game. And it's kind of been Schiano's MO to let the defense pretty much win the game.
Sure.
If you can hold them under 20. Yeah. If you can hold them under 24 points, you have a good shot of winning. So I think that's basically going to be their MO again. And it's not going to be crazy different than last year, but scheme wise, I think it will be, just because Sean Gleason was trying to do everything possible to try to get people open. And it just, I don't even know some of the schemes he was calling. It was just very bizarre, a little odd, a little out there, but I kind of get he was trying to do just something different, trying to make this offense go, and he couldn't get it going. And now you got a veteran instead of the young up and comer, and we'll see what he can do.
Yep, veteran staff. We talked about that when we did the Rutgers preview on my channel. So, and when I look around the rest of this, well, again, the two divisions. See, Longo going to Wisconsin is like, okay, well, how come we didn't get him? But we understand. And
a lot of money.
What's that?
A lot of money there. And
yeah.
He's friends with Fickle. It's a little known fact. A lot of people don't know. So that's why he obviously went out there.
And that's the talk. I think a lot of people are thinking that's going to just re-jumpstart that program. We know Iowa's going to be good. I don't think Illinois is going anywhere. I don't think Minnesota's going very far. The question's going to be, how much better will Matt Rule and Nebraska be? I think Northwestern, I think most people believe there'll be a train wreck. We'll find out on Sunday. But I'm with that. And I think Purdue's going to be a little bit better than people think. I'm surprised that people have been trashing them pretty much, but I think they're going to be better than people think. So, yeah, overall, I think the West is going to be better than it was last year. Mm-hmm. And I think overall the entire conference is going to be better. So yeah. I think the only team that I'm not, I think it may be going the opposite direction besides Northwestern might be Michigan State.
Yeah, no, I think they're definitely going to regress a little bit. How much so, I don't really know. They don't have like a defense like Rutgers has, but they have a better offense. So it's like kind of the complete opposite of Rutgers right now. They hit the portal hard again. That's just kind of Mel Tucker's MO at this point. He struck gold with Kenneth Walker, so I think he's trying to do that again. So yeah, I think they're going to struggle a little bit. I think the East is still going to be pretty good. I think Indiana's pretty bad. I think Tom Allen might be on his last limb.
It might be.
I'd be shocked if he lasts the whole season.
Really?
But yeah, I think this could be it for him, especially if you lose almost every game. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's true.
think he might be struggling. In terms of the West, I think Wisconsin does win it all for the West. I actually think Purdue's going to fall a little bit because the new head coach,
They should, yeah.
Aiden O'Connell's gone too, so new quarterback, whole new system. I actually have Fresno State as one of my my picks for the weekend against them, so I think Fresno State could upset them just because Fresno's coming in this game off a 9-win winning streak and a big bowl game against I believe it was Florida State last year.
Yeah, the only thing with Fresno is we don't know about without Hainer.
Yeah,
and he's such a big part of what they do or did last year. But I see what you're saying with Purdue. The only thing is I just don't look. I'm not trying to say that they're going to be a Big Ten contender again. But I think just some people who believe they're going to be in last place, and I don't see that. I don't think they're that. And I'm even, let's just take Northwestern out of the picture. Everybody knows they're probably going to be in last. But I think if they're in last ahead of Northwestern, I don't think it's going to be like 3 and so forth. I still think they could be a 500 bowl team.
Yeah, I think it's very possible. The Big Ten West is intriguing because it's like competitive, but it's not like top tier competitive.
Correct.
Like it's not like the battle that's going on in the Big Ten East between Michigan, Penn State, and Ohio State. Yeah. It's like middle tier teams just like kind of fighting amongst each other.
Yeah.
Like Nebraska lost yesterday, and I didn't think they looked awful. Like I thought they played pretty decent against a pretty solid Minnesota team, mind you. So.
No, they're going to be better. Rule's a good coach, college coach at least.
Yeah, 100%. And then Iowa's always intriguing. I think Brian Ferentz, their OC, actually has some kind of clause in his contract where he has to average like 20-something points per game.
Yes.
So that's awesome. Would hope that they can do something. If they can't, then they're just done for.
Yes. By the way, that's probably I don't think I've ever heard of that before for a coach. Yeah, that might be the beginning. We might start seeing these clauses in these coaches' contracts from now on.
Yeah. No, 100%.
Yeah, but they got Kate McNamara, so that's going to be a big boost for their offense if he stays healthy.
Yeah, that's. I think that's the big question: is he healthy or not? Can he play game one? I guess.
Yep.
And then Illinois, I don't know what to think. Like I like Bellini as a coach.
Yep.
I think he's a solid coach. I think he made chicken food out of chicken shit last year with Illinois.
Pretty much. And, he had Chase Brown and he had our leftovers at quarterback and also DeVito.
8 offensive lineman sets, and I'm like, geez, look at this guy. He just doesn't care. Like, it worked. So I mean, you can't complain too much. But we'll see what he can do this year. They're very high on their defense too. I know their defense is now ran by defensive coordinator / former Rutgers coach Aaron Henry. So it's always intriguing. I don't know. The Big Ten's going to be really interesting this year.
I think
the West is up for grabs, and I think the East is a 3-horse race right now. So
yeah,
we'll see.
And it's good that it's a 3-horse race because it's been a 2-horse race for the last couple of years. It was a 1-horse race for like a decade, but so now it's gone from a 1 to a 2 to a 3, and that's exactly what we want to see. Because you can say all you want about this hotshot quarterback, but again, he's got to play a full season at Ohio State. Same thing with Penn State, young quarterback. Yeah, maybe he's going to be good, but we got to see it. Michigan has McCarthy, so
Michigan's got it all. They are so good.
Yeah,
I hate the hype up Michigan, but they are so good this year. It's going to be scary to see what they can do.
Yeah, the thing that I'd like to see out of McCarthy though is because knowing the Michigan fans, I think they're a little bit higher on him than I am. And when I see what he did against TCU, that's a slap in the face. That because you can't do that. And if you want to take that next step, then you have to put yourself maybe even in Heisman. And I know it's hard because they don't throw the ball a whole lot, but he could still be in the discussion. Look at Max Dugan last year. He was in the discussion. I thought he should have won the award. So you can do it without lighting up. I know they had a first-round receiver and all that, but I think Michigan might have one too if you can finally deliver this year. But yeah, they could be really scary if J.J. McCarthy takes off.
Yeah, no, I think they could be absolutely disgusting. I know after talking to some people this offseason, I thought it was interesting. Someone brought up to me, and they were saying how Michigan's built strictly to beat Ohio State, and they are. I think they match up perfectly against Ohio State. But Ohio State and Penn State are built to win the college football playoff.
There you go.
And I think that's a fair assumption. Just because, like, if you look at their team, they're literally just built specifically just to go after Ohio State. And honestly, that's their Super Bowl. It feels like for the most
Absolutely.
part, like every year, their Super Bowl is if we can beat Ryan Day, that's it. That's all that matters. And it's like, all right, dude. But when you get to the playoffs, you just nothing. Like,
Yeah, that can't continue. But Ryan Day also can't continue because they're getting
agreed.
restless at Ohio State. They're used to not only beating Michigan, of course, but they're used to uh, either winning a national championship and that's obviously a huge deal. But they've been disappointing. And I mean,
Mhm.
Stroud, how do you think he feels? How he was,
Yeah.
he was 0-4 against Michigan and postseason. So
Yeah.
that's not what you want. But not that we're feeling sorry for the Buckeyes on this show. That's the case.
No.
I actually picked. I did a college football preview. I'm going to be posting in the next several hours on my channel yesterday with Mark Lawrence, and I actually picked Penn State
To win it all, or
to
the Big
win.
Ten at
No, to
least.
win the Big Ten.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I think they have a really good team. It's more so their defense than anything, and then they have a good running back duo.
Yep.
Those freshmen last year combined for what 1,900 yards. So it's like it's tough to bet against them right now.
The schedule for Rutgers. So again, Sunday starts it all, and it's a noon start. Correct.
Yes,
So
Sunday
that
noon
means
CBS.
that means we'll probably be on the air around. What do you think? 4.
Give or take, if they're both running the ball, like I hope, and maybe earlier. But
Yeah. So and then after that, Temple, Virginia Tech, and all we can look. I know Virginia Tech could be better, but still, if Rutgers isn't 3-0 going to Michigan, it's going to be a big disappointment.
Virginia Tech's my trap game. I think that's going to be a lot tougher than people think. I think Brent Pry's a good coach. I think in year one he struggled, and I get it. Year one, first year head coach doesn't really know what he's doing. They brought in some serious talent via the transfer portal. I think they brought in like 7 or 8 guys that were ranked in our top 250 rankings for transfers. So they're going to have an interesting team when they come to Piscataway on September 16th.
And they will be playing Old Dominion tomorrow, which is not a bad way to kick off the season because
Old
Dominion
last year. Yeah.
So and then Purdue. So that's a good measuring stick right there to find out how they're going to be before Rutgers takes them on. And then the Michigan game, that is the one team though. It's weird, but it is the one team out of the big 3 that Rutgers seems to be able to hang in there and almost. So if you had to guess, look, forget Ohio State, but if you had to guess, does Rutgers beat Michigan or Penn State first?
Michigan, but I don't think either happened this year. But
no, not this year, but anytime.
I think Michigan.
Michigan.
Well, technically, they did beat Michigan with that Kamoko Toure field goal block and all that.
Yeah.
So I mean, technically, they do have one on them, but I would say Michigan probably. I think it's going to be interesting because they keep talking about how Harbaugh might leave after this year for the league again. So
that's just getting annoying.
I know it's every year, but it's something to monitor at least.
It is.
Especially if he gets a chip. I mean, there's not really much more you can do at the college level.
Well, that's the thing. I think if he does win a national championship, that's the last accomplishment that he needs.
To the Super Bowl.
I did what I came here to do. It's my alma mater. Mm-hmm. Now it's done. And also it gives the fans an opportunity to be like, okay, thank you. Go win a Super Bowl. Instead of, hey, why'd you leave now after getting this close to winning a national championship the last few years? And now would you stick us with one of these inexperienced assistant coaches that you're saying is going to be a really good head coach one day? Well, come on, nobody knows. So yeah. But yeah, that's a good point.
I think that'd be the big question: is who do you replace him with? I don't even know where you start.
I think it's going to be in on the program. He really talks these guys up. He talks these assistants up really big. So, because there's nobody out there. There's no like ex-Michigan alum out there like Harbaugh.
It's Harbaugh. Yeah, that's it.
So, unless Tom Brady wants
to. Brady wants to. That's what I'm saying. Hey, you never know.
Yeah, right. All he has to do is recruit. That's all he needs to do.
Yeah. Just hire the coordinators.
Hey, I can come play for Tom Brady. All right.
It's kind of what Fran Brown does. I'm just saying.
Right.
All you got to do is recruit. You don't really coach.
That's it. Then after Michigan, of course, Wagner, it's the high school game. And then the Wisconsin road game.
That's a tough one. Camp Randall's a different animal.
Michigan State's a home game that they need to win if they want to go bowling. The Maryland game could be the game at the end of the season that decides a bowl game. It's possible. But
yeah, no, that's very possible.
I think they'd have to go 3-0, 4-1.
Yeah,
and then
minimum
beat Michigan State and Indiana to avoid that scenario.
Yeah, I think that's fair because I think back to back with Ohio State at Iowa at Penn State's going to be extremely tough. Yeah. I think Michigan State's very winnable. I really do. I don't think they're that good this year. Plus, you get them at home. I know it's a noon game, which kind of stinks, but home mid-October might be nice weather. I think you could catch them sleeping. Not even sleeping. I just don't think they're going to be that good in general. So they might just be asleep all year.
We'll find out. Yeah. If by then they're not a good team, then that's a must win. Must win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
By the way, let's take a look at some of the chat here. So Cinema Man has a lot to say. Where was the one that he was talking about Touré in here somewhere? Oh, here it is. Richie, how come nobody is talking about? Is it Fama?
Yeah,
Fama Touré. Do you think he gets in this year or redshirt? I want to see him play. We need him. He has talent. Reminds me of Brandon Coleman type guy.
He's good. Brandon Coleman was a different animal, though. Let's put that in its place. Now, Touré could get to that level. Don't get me wrong. He's bigger than Coleman already. Like when Coleman was a freshman, Coleman came in skinny as hell. Fama Touré came in as one of the most jacked receivers I've seen in a while. Like me and Brian Fonseca were talking after practice the other day, and like number one walked past us, and I was like, "Damn, Muhammad Touré got pretty big." And he goes, "That's Fama." I was like, "Oh, never mind." Like he's huge.
Wow.
But yeah, no, they look. I mean, you could tell they're brothers right away. They look so alike. But yeah, he's a huge receiver. I don't know how much he plays year one. I could see him probably redshirting. The other thing is Greg likes to put his guys in special teams that he knows are going to play next year. So keep an eye on that. We'll have snap counts after the games or day after the games, whatever.
Okay.
And you'll kind of notice like which freshmen got in, which freshmen didn't get in. So I keep an eye on that, but I don't think he's going to be one of the receivers that plays just because there's a ton of veterans, I guess you could call them, at wide receiver with the new transfers with Isaiah Washington. I'm going to consider Chris Long a veteran because he's a third-year guy.
Sure.
I know he's technically a sophomore or even a freshman, I guess, because that COVID year. It's weird.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, on top of that, you got it's just a lot of people in front of him. Greg's talked a lot about Ian Strong already, and that's the one freshman I'd probably keep the biggest eyes on.
Okay.
He's the one that might be like a stud. He's tall. He's not Brandon Coleman tall, where he's like 6'5", 6'4", whatever Coleman was, but I think he's like 6'2", 6'3". So he's up there. But yeah, I'd keep an eye on Ian Strong out of all that freshman group. I think he's going to be really good.
Well, we don't want to see him for that exact reason. We're hoping that there's enough talent that delivers. And quarterback has a lot to say about that too, but still, any offensive line. But yeah, okay. So that's definitely one I wanted to get in. Let's see, Garden State Gardner. Can the offensive line get better as the game goes on? Lots of size on the line, and we do have some hard running backs. That's just basically going to be the deal, really, in these first three games. Is they have to start establishing who's our five guys mostly, and then let's run the football as much and as good as we can to alleviate the pressure on our quarterback in the passing game.
Yeah, I know I can't reveal too much of what's seen in practice, but I would say it's safe to say they have their five guys picked out.
Okay.
I think that there's still going to be a pretty big line. I don't think there's any question about it. You see it in practice now. Like going back from when I first started, 7 years ago at this point? 8 years ago. Damn, it's been that long. Might be longer than that, actually. But besides the point, that offensive line actually looks like a Big Ten offensive line. Like you walk in, even some of the freshmen, like Dominic Rivera walked past me, and I'm like, who the heck is this guy? And I look at his number, I'm like, oh, that's Rivera. Like, damn, he's big. That's a big freshman. He's like 6'7", like 315. I'm like, that's huge for a freshman. Moselle Williams is big. Some of these guys are just massive. Like, and then obviously Holland Pierce, like and most of you know, he's 6'7", like 340. Curtis Dunlap's huge. So I mean, I think that they could get better as the game goes on. it's all going to come down to if they can protect or not. Now you're probably going to have some new faces out there. It's Willie Tyler's gone, JD Lorenzo's gone, and JD was probably your best offensive lineman last year, and he came up from from Sacred Heart. So it's going to be a totally different looking offensive line. Can they gel? Can they get together and work together? We'll wait and see. It's going to come down to kickoff, because right now they're going against. The good news is right now they're going against a really good defensive line. So they're getting as much experience as possible going against Aaron Lewis, Wesley Bailey,
good point.
Mo Toure, et cetera, et cetera. That you could name everyone on that line, but I think they'll get better.
Yeah, and this is a really good test too, in meaning, a winning test, because Northwestern, they have good linebackers. That's basically it on their entire team. Yeah, very good linebackers. Their special teams was awful. So that has to be something that Rutgers takes advantage of in this matchup. And I think the line, I didn't even look at the line until I heard somebody tell me that the line actually shrunk from double digits to maybe in the single digits.
6.5 right now.
Okay.
If I recall.
What? Okay, that is disrespectful, but okay. I mean, I don't want to be a homer here or nothing, and I don't think I am, but if Rutgers can't cover the spread of 6.5 against Northwestern, we're going to have problems.
I think it's very, very close. I know I have my prediction on our board. We'll go public with everything tomorrow. I think I actually said on the podcast, so it doesn't really matter. But I have 2014. I just can't see this offense doing a whole lot. I think the defense is going to play really well. I think it could be 20-7 late, and I think they could be close to covering and just giving up a garbage time touchdown just because, like, here you go, whatever, take the touchdown with 30 seconds left. It doesn't matter. But you mentioned special teams. I thought that was interesting because they have a transfer punter, transfer kicker, transfer kick returner, transfer punt returner. Rutgers now doesn't have Adam Korsak, who was a weapon, whether people want to admit it or not. He could flip the entire field easily for you.
He was awesome.
He's gone. I don't think you're going to replace him ever, and I think it's going to be you're going to see a big drop off there. Kick returner Cruikshank's gone, and you had him for a couple of years. You had Janarian Grant before that. I don't know if there's another guy waiting in the wings really like those two. So I think, I hate to say it, I think Northwestern might have the advantage on special teams. So I think that's where it gets really interesting.
Well, again, considering how bad they were last year, Northwestern on special teams, if that's the case, then that goes into your thinking about it being maybe a closer game. Because the way I'm looking at it as, I expect the defense to not just, all right, we're going to prevent points, but we're going to help our offense out, and we're going to put points on the board. We're going to create turnovers. We're going to create field position and make it as easy as possible so our offense doesn't have to go 80 yards, which we know they probably wouldn't be able to do more than once, a game at this point from what we remember last year, if that. So
that's fair.
We'll see. Again, it's opening day. Anything is possible. And I just hope it's not like the game last night, like you were talking about. I don't want to see that.
That's Big Ten football. It's just what it is. 10-10, fourth quarter, game-winning field goal, and that's it. That's
the one thing about doing these post-game shows for me is, if I didn't do a post-game show, there would be times where I would be like, oh man, I don't want to see this next. I'll fast forward the drive. I just can't do this anymore. I just can't. But you're doing the post-game show, you're going to be professional. You got to watch everything, and so I'm going to be put through the test. My patience is going to be put through the test with this offense if they struggle as much as we are anticipating. But they can't be any worse than last year. So
no, I think you can.
No, that was embarrassing. Okay, so I think that's going to wrap it up, and we will be back for the real deal on Sunday. And again, we welcome your comments and everything else here on this channel, which is the Rutgers football channel. This is pretty awesome that we're able to put this together. Again, I have my channel on Prime Sports Network, where Richie has been a guest on my show many times. And I'm sure you probably have seen those interviews. If not, you can check them out on my channel. And we will be doing this, though, including, and what are you going to be doing, by the way, between games on Rutgers football? How many shows do you usually put together between games?
Between games, well, we did 4 podcasts this week. I don't anticipate doing that every week.
Yeah.
But there's just so much news. Like if there's news, we're gonna do podcasts. So I can't really
So
put a
breaking
set
news, that's regular. What would you say? Like 1 or 2 if you had no breaking news, but knowing
two minimum.
Two
Yeah.
minimum.
Two minimum, because we definitely do one on Monday, recapping everything, kind of just being like, all right, well that was or well that was great. Like either or, we're just kind of recapping what happened, talking about what we saw, kind of. I'll actually rewatch the game, like kind of like what you said. I'll rewatch it, but I'll fast forward some stuff because I don't feel like watching 2-yard play, 1-yard play. Like, come on, like move along.
I know.
But yeah, no. So we'll do a recap on Monday, and then usually Wednesday or Thursday we do a preview from next week with the opposing beat writer. So
that's cool.
It's always pretty cool.
That's awesome. That's a good job. Yeah, that's important to find out what the competition, because that's very helpful. It's helpful, especially if you're covering the team as opposed to just as a fan.
Oh yeah, of course.
So because that's what the big boys do, the networks. So
Yep.
if they're going to do it, then we shouldn't be any different. All right, Richie. So enjoy the rest or the beginning of the weekend. Of course, it's Labor Day weekend, as we all know, and then so Sunday's really going to be like a Saturday. So, and I know you're not too much into these Sunday games, from what I hear. So
no. Sundays are my NFL days. Sit down, get a couple beers. I know we're still a week away from that.
Yeah, no beers this Sunday.
Just fine. That's fine. I'll stay away from it. We'll be good. I can't
At
promise
least in
that
the
tonight.
afternoon.
I can't promise it tonight or tomorrow, but Sunday we're good. So
yeah. Well, wait until after the post-game show, and then you can you'll have Labor Day to get over it. So,
exactly.
Yeah,
so,
and hopefully it's winning. Winning. If you consume alcohol on Sunday night, hopefully it's winning alcohol. So,
oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, enough of that talk. Richie, appreciate it, of course, and I will talk to you right after the game on Sunday, and we will see hopefully all of you guys that are watching this live, and anybody that is just tuning in to the on-demand part of this promo. We'll see everybody on